Hey man, what if I told you she already gave you the green light and you just didn't see it? Most men don't miss out because they're not attractive enough. They miss out because they're blind to the subtle signals of female interest. They can feel the sexual tension, sense something shifting in the air, but they can't decode her nonverbal cues or read the body language that screams she wants more. And here's the truth. If you miss these cues, you don't get a second chance. Because once you fail the test, her emotional leverage vanishes, and she silently files you under not him. But when you do recognize these signs, you walk in with inner authority, male awareness, and a masculine frame so strong, she feels it before you even speak. And that's why only 5% of men actually win, because they notice what others don't. There's a quiet power in knowing, and by the end of this video, that power is going to be yours. If this message hits home for you, if it's helping you connect dots you didn't even know existed, drop a like, share this video with someone who needs it, and leave a comment. Let's spread awareness and help more men reclaim their perception and their power. Let's start by breaking down the invisible cues that give you the psychological edge most men never develop. On why most men miss the obvious signs of female interest, and how to stop being one of them. There's something she does that tells you exactly how she feels, but you're probably missing it. Not because you're blind, but because you've never been taught to look. Most men operate in the dark, stumbling past moments of female interest because they've never learned the language of nonverbal cues. You might think she's being polite, when in fact, she's signaling open door. The moment slips. She moves on. And you're left wondering why nothing ever seems to click. The truth? You were never lacking attraction, you were lacking male awareness. Here's the punchline nobody tells you. Women speak loudest through silence. That slight lean in, that blink and you miss it smile, the way she fixes her hair when you're nearby, those are subtle signals. They're not accidental. They're part of her female psychology, coded behaviors rooted in biology and reinforced by social conditioning. And if you're not tuned into these behavior patterns, you're missing the entire conversation. The worst part? She expects you to get it. If you don't, you're disqualified without even knowing you were being tested. Imagine standing in a room full of people and a woman across the room keeps locking eyes with you, then looking away. Again and again. You feel the pull, the tension, but you're not sure if it's in your head. That moment right there is what 95% of men fumble. They either ignore it, or they act without grounded inner authority. The 5% who succeed, they've trained their male intuition to recognize these attraction triggers without hesitation. It's not guessing, it's reading a book she thinks is invisible. What you'll see throughout this video isn't pickup advice, it's perception. And the moment you develop it, you unlock a level of power most men will never reach. We're talking about the ability to notice the smallest shifts in her body language, to pick up on moments of sexual tension that pass like a whisper. And when you respond to those moments from a place of emotional control, not desperation, that's when the dynamic flips. That's when you stop chasing and start choosing. But let's get something straight. Noticing a signal doesn't mean reacting to every smile. High-value men don't jump, they assess. That flicker in her voice, the way she subtly mirrors your posture, the shift in her tone when you tease her, those are your indicators. Your job isn't to chase validation, it's to decode the signal and hold your frame. Most men break the moment they feel a woman's desire aimed in their direction. The 5%, they lean back. They understand that desire is not permission, it's a test. Ever seen a woman play with her jewelry while talking to you? Adjust her necklace? Slide a finger along the rim of her glass? That's not random. These are tactile expressions of sexual tension, especially when paired with eye contact and proximity. Now here's the kicker. She may not even realize she's doing it. That's why understanding female interest isn't about logic. It's about calibrated stoicism. You stay grounded while everything around you is charged. You feel the energy, but you don't overplay it. Let me paint a quick picture. You're talking to her. She asks you a personal question, then leans in just a little, smiling softly. She holds eye contact a moment too long. That's not just friendliness, that's a confidence shift in her body. A tilt from neutral to open. If you're locked into your phone, overthinking your next move, you'll miss it. But if you're tuned into her authentic presence, you'll sense it instantly. And when you do, everything changes. Quietly, powerfully, and without a single word spoken. The reason most men fail in reading women isn't that women are confusing, it's that men were never taught how to observe. She won't say, "I want you." She'll show it through nonverbal cues, through intentional silence, and through micro-behaviors that only someone with male awareness will catch. If you're stuck analyzing her words, you've already lost. Words are camouflage. But body language? That's where the truth hides. Once you lock into that, you're no longer operating on guesswork. You're operating with precision. There's one common mistake men make when a woman gives a signal. They pounce. That quick lean in turns into overcompensation. That polite laugh becomes an invitation in his head. And boom, dominant energy turns into neediness. Here's a mindset shift. You're not chasing signs. You're calibrating your masculine frame. You observe, feel the moment, and then choose when to respond. The moment you stop needing her signal and start owning your presence, you create magnetism she can't ignore. That's your psychological edge. One of the most overlooked signs? Testing. Women don't just give off female interest. They check if you can hold tension. She might tease you, delay a response, challenge your statement. That's not rejection, it's testing behavior. She wants to feel your emotional control when things don't go your way. Fail the test, and she disengages. Pass it, and her curiosity deepens. So next time she acts hot and cold, don't flinch. Stay centered. That's not confusion, it's the gateway to deeper woman's desire. Let's be brutally honest, most men want a checklist. If she touches her hair, do this. If she laughs, say that. But this isn't paint by numbers, it's presence. True male intuition doesn't come from memorizing behaviors, it comes from feeling them. That awareness comes when you stop chasing tactics and start embodying stoicism, clarity, and authentic presence. When she feels that grounded energy, she relaxes into the moment. And that's when she starts showing you more, even if she's saying less. Now imagine this, you're sitting across from her, both of you sharing a quiet laugh. She looks at your mouth when you're not speaking. She plays with her earring. Her leg shifts slightly toward yours. These are not coincidences. These are stacked subtle signals designed to trigger your awareness without overt risk. It's how female psychology protects itself, offering the signal but leaving you responsible for the move. And that's where you reclaim your role, not as a predator, but as a man with inner authority. You ever hear a guy say, "I thought we had a connection, and then she just ghosted me"? It's almost always because he misread the dynamic. He thought female interest meant permission. He confused sexual tension with commitment. And when he overinvested, he killed the polarity. What she wanted was a man who could hold space, observe, feel the heat, but not collapse under it. That's the rare quality of the 5%. They don't need her response. They interpret it and act accordingly. Here's a quick test. Can you hold eye contact with a woman for 5 full seconds without needing to look away? Most men can't. Not because they're weak, but because they have never trained their confidence shift. Attraction triggers are often embedded in the space between the words, the pause, the gaze, the playful smirk. And the more you allow that tension to exist without rushing to fill it, the more power you build in the silence. That's where emotional leverage is born. The quiet truth? She's watching how you respond to the unknown. If she moves closer during conversation and you shift away nervously, she notices. If she flirts with slight sarcasm and you get defensive, she categorizes you instinctively. This is how female psychology filters men, not by what they say, but by how they hold, or lose, their masculine frame under subtle pressure. That's why noticing subtle signals isn't just about perception, it's about your ability to stay grounded while her energy rises and dances around yours. And here's where most men unknowingly lose the game, right when she starts to actually open up. She leans in emotionally, gives a glimpse of female interest, and just when the moment demands grounded stillness, he tries to impress her. Tries too hard, tries it all. But inner authority doesn't try, it just is. The rare man lets that dominant energy breathe, allowing her to feel safe, intrigued, and magnetized all at once. And here, a pause, because if you've made it this far, chances are this content is shaking up some deeply held beliefs. If this is hitting you in a way most advice never did, then don't waste time. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because what comes next is going to flip your perception even harder. And believe me, you won't want to miss what's just ahead. Let's keep going. Let's talk about voice. Not just what she says, but how she says it. When a woman lowers her tone slightly, slows her words, or speaks in a more melodic rhythm around you, that's not coincidence. That shift in vocal tempo is part of her nonverbal cues, her way of softening the space between you. Most men ignore this, but the few with sharp male awareness recognize the drop. It's her subconscious syncing with your presence. It's not a green light, it's a doorway. There's power in noticing without reacting. When a woman offers you a signal, it's not always an invitation, it's often a test. She's checking your ability to hold emotional control. A slight delay in your response, a calm smile instead of excitement, that's how you pass. Why? Because women feel safer around a man who doesn't get shaken. The man who notices female interest without turning it into neediness, that's the man she respects, craves, and remembers. Stillness is your secret weapon. Let me tell you about Marcus, 34, corporate manager, smart guy. But for most of his life, he couldn't understand why women seemed interested, then went cold. Until one day, a female colleague told him, "You never know when a woman is flirting with you, do you?" That hit him hard. He dove into the study of female psychology, learned to read body language, picked up on subtle signals, and most importantly, built a quiet inner authority. Now, he doesn't chase women. They lean in first. Marcus didn't become flashy. He became observant. He started noticing how eye contact would linger just a little longer when he was relaxed, how a woman's foot would point toward him during conversation, how pauses would stretch and feel warm, not awkward. These are the behavior patterns that men overlook while trying to be clever or smooth. You don't need more charm. You need more silence. Observation over performance. That's how you move from average to undeniably magnetic. You know what kills sexual tension faster than anything? Talking too much. When you speak just to fill the silence, you ruin the moment. But when you master intentional silence, your presence does all the talking. That quiet, grounded energy radiates high value. It shows her you're comfortable with discomfort, that you're not rushing, not selling, just being. And that's rare. Most men fidget in the silence. The 5%, they own it. And women feel it in their breath, in their spine, in their curiosity. There's a moment, just before a woman makes her move, be it a touch, a question, or a gaze, that's sacred. It's fragile, and it evaporates if you're not ready. This is where signal decoding becomes survival. You sense the attraction triggers, you trust your male intuition, and you act with precision, not performance. One word too soon and it breaks. One word too late and it fades. But the man who feels the buildup and responds with timing, he becomes unforgettable. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for resonance. A man whose energy doesn't spike with validation. A man who reads the room without trying to control it. That's the essence of authentic presence, when who you are aligns with what you see. No gimmicks, no tactics, just awareness, stillness, and choice. Most men are either passive or aggressive, but the 5% live in the space in between, where dominant energy is quiet, measured, and unshakable. Now, here's a truth you'll rarely hear. The more attuned you are to her subtle signals, the less you have to speak. A simple nod, a knowing smile, a relaxed posture. These are micro responses that tell her, I see you. Women crave that level of male awareness, not because it flatters their ego, but because it makes them feel understood without needing to explain themselves. That's rare. That's magnetic. That's the core of real female interest, when she feels seen without being pursued. And don't be fooled. Female interest doesn't always look soft. Sometimes it looks like resistance. She'll challenge your opinion, call out your sarcasm, push back playfully. That's not rejection. It's testing behavior. It's her way of feeling your strength, of checking if your masculine frame holds under tension. Don't get defensive. Don't shrink. Hold steady. Smile. Push back lightly. That's how the dance deepens. And that's how you shift from just another guy to the man she can't quite figure out. Women live in a world of subtlety, layers, signals inside signals. So when you train your male intuition to read what's not being said, you gain access to a dimension most men never see. You become the man who doesn't need to ask, is she into me? You feel the sexual tension, you see the body language, and you move with emotional control instead of hope. That's attractive. That's powerful. That's how you become unforgettable without ever chasing. There's also beauty in restraint. Let's say she gives you clear signs, proximity, light touches, even flirty remarks. Most men rush in, but the 5%? They wait. They let the tension build. They understand that timing is part of the seduction. They use intentional silence to amplify the moment. When you pause instead of pursue, you communicate certainty, and certainty is a deeply masculine trait. It's what creates the psychological edge that leaves her thinking about you long after you've left the room. She'll notice how you carry yourself, the way you walk into a space, whether your gaze is grounded or searching. All of these feed into her instinctual radar. And here's where most men fail. They collapse under the pressure of being noticed. They become performative. But inner authority doesn't perform. It exists. It's a calm, unshakable awareness of who you are. And when you combine that with clear signal decoding, you become dangerous in the most elegant way possible. So ask yourself, are you watching her or are you watching yourself through her eyes? That's the trap. When your focus is external validation, you become reactive. But when you stay locked into authentic presence, you stop seeking and start noticing. You begin to pick up on the rhythm of social dynamics, the invisible cues she's giving you with her breath, her stillness, her laughter. That's when the game changes. That's when you stop playing and start leading. There's one thing women never say out loud, but always feel. He gets it. That moment when your energy responds to hers without words, without tension, that's what pulls her in. It's not what you say. It's how you look at her, how you pause, how you hold space, all rooted in stoicism, in restraint, in self-respect. That's what female interest responds to. Not flashy moves, but subtle power, quiet fire, presence. The man who can feel her signal and choose when to respond. A woman will feel your presence before she understands it. That's why your job isn't to impress, it's to anchor. Let your dominant energy be quiet but undeniable. Let your emotional control be sensed in how you speak, how you pause, how you listen. When you build this kind of gravity, she gravitates without even knowing why, and when her body language starts syncing with yours, that's the real moment of connection. Not the conversation, but the chemistry behind it. Here's something few ever talk about. Women don't just want to be desired, they want to be understood without explanation. And that's what high-value men do. They don't press. They don't interpret everything literally. They observe, intuit, and adapt in silence. This isn't manipulation. It's male awareness, elevated. It's how you create safety and mystery at the same time. The result? She leans in, she stays curious, and you remain the man who sees what others never even notice. It's not just about spotting female interest. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts it. A man with authentic presence, who moves with purpose, who knows when to speak and when to hold. A man who recognizes attraction triggers without reacting like a boy. A man who doesn't just take space but owns it. That's what separates the rare from the regular. That's what the 5% embody, without scripts, without games, just clear intention and calm certainty. And now, maybe you're starting to see why so few men ever notice these signs. It's not because the signs aren't there, it's because the man isn't there. He's distracted, reactive, insecure. But not you, not anymore. Now, you understand the weight of a look, the power of a pause, the message inside the movement. And when you live with this level of signal decoding and stoicism, everything shifts, especially her. But remember, this is just the beginning. So now the question flips back to you. Are you going to walk into your next interaction hoping she shows interest? Or are you going to start noticing what she's already been signaling all along? Every moment with a woman is either a missed opportunity or a test you quietly pass. And if you've been blind to these subtle signals, now you have the vision most men never will. What would shift in your life if you started trusting your male intuition? How much energy would you stop wasting chasing, doubting, or overthinking? What kind of man would you become if you chose to finally see? Here's what I want from you. Drop in the comments. Now I see what I've been missing. Let's see how many of you are stepping into this awareness today. And hey, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you. It means you're not like most men. You're part of the 5% who actually care to grow. So please, like this video, send it to a brother who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. You're not alone in this journey. Let's keep evolving, together.